Hi, we're going to be using VS Code as our development environment, and we're going to be running it either on our local machine or we're going to be running it up in GitHub to view our repo and edit our repo. But we're also going to be using it in CodeSpaces, which is GitHub's cloud that will allow us to run whatever's in our repo in a container in the cloud. Now, CodeSpaces will automatically run VS Code in that container so we can see it in the cloud. So when you're operating on your machine, you really need to know where this VS Code is pointing. Is it pointing to code on your local machine? Is it pointing to code up in GitHub? Or is it pointing to code that you're running and possibly editing in CodeSpace? Okay, let's take a look at VS Code. So VS Code, you'll need to get to know these symbols on the side and what they refer to. This one that I'm just clicking here refers to extensions. And we're going to need Github Copilot and Github Copilot Chat. So you'll click on those and you'll install them. Here I've already installed, so the option now is for me to uninstall, but you'll be able to install. So install both of those. This will allow us to get Copilot to help us code. Okay, let's start off, and I'm running this VS Code locally at the moment. So it's pointing to things on my own machine. Now, when we're operating on our own machine, we'll often use the terminal window. So here's a terminal window, and we'll need some basic commands to move about the directories on our machine. So here, for example, I changed to courses, which I have as a subdirectory, and I made a directory for our 100 course here in 2026, and under that I changed into that directory and I made a directory called bouncing balls. Now that's a directory and it doesn't have anything in it. Now what I did was I opened, so I went to File, Open here, and I opened that local directory. So bouncing balls is a directory, and inside that, so now it's empty. This is just a clean file. Let's take a look and see if we can get the Copilot to write code for us. Now, if you do Command-Shift-I, it brings up that chat Copilot. So here we can describe what we want it to build. I've got a prompt here that I already wrote. Here's the prompt. Write an HTML file with JavaScript code that allows balls to be created that have a random initial velocity and collide both with each other and with the sides of a box that they're contained in. So that's going to be my prompt. Let's just copy it and get rid of that, and I'll just put it in here. So now you'll see it's thinking, it's working, it's reading, it's smart enough to go and find this file. So it's reading bouncing balls.html and it's realizing there's nothing in it. So now it's written code. So let's see, it filled it, implemented in JavaScript, grants each ball a random radius velocity. Okay, open the file in the browser and see the balls ricochet against each other and the walls. So let's keep that code. So now that code, we'll need to look at it later, but it's saying, why don't you run it? And so down here I've got something called Go Live that is a web server that will show us this. So it's got bouncing balls.html. So if I click on it, it's going to open it. and you'll see that it's running. Let's have a look. Let me make this a little smaller so we can see everything. Okay, here we are now. Actually, it looks pretty good. So we can add 5 balls. Okay. And we can play around with it, add another one, we can reset, etc. So that's actually quite neat. So the first thing is it behaving as physical balls would behave? There's no gravity here, it looks like. We'd have to check this. So that's one of the things, but not bad for a few commands in this. Now we can save this up to our GitHub. So let me publish this, and I'm going to publish to GitHub, and I'm going to publish to a public directory. So it's called Bouncing Balls. Select the files. Yeah, so Bouncing Balls is the file I want. Okay, so it should have published it now. Yep. Let's go take a look at my repos. So let me... Right. So now we see I've got Bouncing Balls as a repo. Let me click on it. Okay, here we see we've got an HTML file. Now I want to, let's suppose I want to edit that. Now this is up in GitHub. If I hit period on my laptop, you'll see it'll bring up a VS Code editor, and this is now up in the cloud. So although I'm looking at it on my machine and it looks very similar to the VS Code that's pointing to code on my machine, this code now is up in the cloud. So if I make edits here, we can save it directly in the cloud. So for example, let's put a README file in here. So I'm going to create a new file, readme.md. Okay, and Bouncing Balls simulation. That's pretty good. Save it. And now I need to push it back up into the repo. Okay, so now I'll put added README. Okay, and we'll commit and push that. And now if I go back to my repo here, let's have a look. Yeah, there's the README file, and in it, Bouncing Ball simulation. Now, if I go back to the VS Code that's pointing on my machine, is that README going to be there? The answer is no, it's not. Not unless I synchronize these somehow. So here we are, we're there, we don't have that. What I need to do is now pull that from the repo. So I'm going to do a pull, and here you see added the README. First commit. Let's now look here. Yeah. Now I've synchronized these two VS codes, these two code bases. Okay, the final thing is we can go up to our code base. Let's go and take a look. Okay, so now we've got Bouncing Balls, and this is my repo. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to CodeSpaces, and I'm going to create a code space. So what this is going to do is to spin up a machine in the cloud, and it's going to create a VS Code in the cloud. So this VS Code now is up in the cloud, and you'll see it doesn't have some of the things that I had locally. So let's see how we run this in the cloud. Let's see if it'll run it for us. So there's an HTTP server that it can run. There it's running it. It's going to start it on port 8000. So we should see open browser, directory listing. Let's run that. So where is this running? You'll see that it's running up in the cloud somewhere. This is the URL of the container and the fact it's pointing then to bouncing balls. But it's not the same one that we were looking at running on our own machine. So I hope I haven't confused you with this, but you'll need to pay attention as to where things are actually running, because they may be on your own machine. They may be up in CodeSpaces. Okay? Okay, bye for now.